Hello everyone and welcome back to Farmer Joe Homesteading. This past week has been especially rough for us here on the homestead, and so unfortunately a lot of this video is going to be hardships that we have faced in the last week. But there has also been some good things and some good changes here on the farm as well. So make sure you stick around and enjoy our video of the last week here on the homestead, farming for our family. Our biggest tragedy and unfortunate circumstance was that on Friday night, don't bite me, on Friday night, Luna came into heat. Luna, come out here. Let me take a look at you. She still looks pregnant. Come here, Luna. She was pacing and flagging. Let's see if she starts flagging again. She's just in like an awkward, like hunched position. She just doesn't look, I don't know about you, Luna. I was so excited and told you guys that we were 8 weeks away from the twins kidding. Starr is now 7 weeks away from kidding. She is still round. But unfortunately, Luna came into heat. You guys, here we go again with this crazy goat nonsense we're having this year. Just driving out into my barnyard to load up Luna and take her to the neighbors because she is all of a sudden in complete full standing flagging heat. All right, goat is loaded. We are on our way to the billies. And we're thinking that she must have caught initially and then slipped or miscarried at some point because she wasn't coming into heat. We've had her now back home since the end of December. So for 2 months, she never had a cycle, and they cycle every 21 days. So she should have cycled a couple times. It is very possible that I just didn't catch it, that I just assumed they were bred and I wasn't looking for those signs. But it was quite obvious. She was flagging like crazy. She was pacing. She was bawling. It was the middle of the night and she didn't want to go to bed with everybody else. She was just standing by the gate flagging and bawling. So it was quite obvious that she was in heat. So even though it was late at night, I packed her up in the trunk of the car and off we went to the neighbors, to the billies, because I wasn't 100% sure how long she'd been in heat for, and I really didn't want to miss a heat again. So we packed up at 10 o'clock at night and took her to the billies. Now, Miss Luna got picky right away, and she refused to breed to the Nubian Billy, which I had really wanted her to, which is the same thing that happened with Big Mama. So we ended up having to build a ramp and do that whole process again for Miss Luna because she fell in love with the little Nigerian dwarf Billy and wouldn't let the Nubian Billy around her. So not only did she come into heat and now isn't due until July, but she also wouldn't breed to the Billy that I wanted her to breed to, which means Miss Luna is now due in July with Nubian, Saanen, Nigerian dwarf crosses. Now, it's disappointing, but she will be in milk. So we will eventually be able to milk Miss Luna. It's just not going to be what I'd hoped. It's not what I had anticipated, but at least we will have some milk from her. Now, Miss Starr is still obviously pregnant. She's still nice and wide. So she is going to be the only milk that we have on the farm until Big Mama has her kids in June. And then Luna is due in July. So Starr was really awful to milk last year, so I'm not really looking forward to her being my primary milk goat for a while. But I'm hopeful that maybe we'll be able to sort out the differences we had, and I'm hopeful that this being her second freshening, she'll have a better bag, because she does not have a very nice bag for milking. There it is. They say lunch on the left, Rugrats on the right. And look at how much that is bulging on the right side of Miss Starr. So she's definitely got some kids in that little belly. So our biggest change on the homestead this week is we actually don't have Miss Annie anymore. So I made the decision a couple weeks ago that it was time to say goodbye to Annie. We loved having her here, and when we took her on, we initially planned on keeping her here to retire here because I got her retirement year. But I quickly realized that that was not going to work out this winter when all of my girls that are bred or in milk were needing that high protein diet. Starr and Luna are getting alfalfa pellets and beet pulp soaked and getting that to help them. Sorry, the bottle babies keep running into me. They're getting that to help them right now with their pregnancies because I want them to, you know, keep packing the weight on and keep in pretty good shape. So the other thing was because those girls were needing grain and Big Mama was getting grain and everybody's on a high protein alfalfa diet right now. Miss Annie was getting a little bit too chunky, and she started getting so chunky that she was actually like having some lameness issues. And because she was our only goat with horns, she was actually beating up my other girls and actually being really rough with my pregnant does and pushing them over and pushing them off the good hay. So Annie always got the best feed, and if there was any grain left over after Mama milked, Annie would steal it no matter what I did to try and prevent her from doing that. So I'd actually locked Annie, because I have the little cubby hole there, I'd lock Annie in there for part of the day so she wasn't getting to eat as much, but I didn't like doing that because it's dark in there, so she has no sunlight, no socialization. It was like putting her in solitary confinement in the dark. So that wasn't going to be a good long-term solution for Miss Annie. And if I tried locking her in here or locking her in there, she could actually burst my locks off. So we were fixing things because she was bursting through. She was just a bit rotten, to be honest. We could not contain her and keep her away from that good, rich feed. And I knew that that was not going to be good for her long term. She was literally going to eat herself to death. But getting rid of Annie also opened up the door for us to be able to get our own billy goat. Because Miss Annie could not be rebred because of issues she had inside, we had to be really careful, and that's why the girls have had to go to the billies this year instead of having a buck come to us, which is what we did last year. So that became a problem as well. We only have one goat pen. I don't have any other fencing up for more goats, and I don't have another shelter for other goats. So that is going to be something we prioritize this spring, is getting another goat pen put up as quick as possible. But for now, it just made sense. We found an awesome home for Miss Annie. She is with a great family. She will get to spend her days underneath the shade of some big, beautiful spruce trees, enjoying green grass. So she is very loved and really, really enjoys her new home already. So I'm thankful that that all worked out, and Miss Annie now has a nice retirement spot where she doesn't have the huge rich feed that she's getting here and no competition. So Miss Annie is no longer, and we just have our 3 girls. But without Miss Annie, like I said, it opened up the door to get a little billy goat. And so we did. We found one. We dropped Annie off at her new farm and said our farewells. And then we picked up this little guy. Farmer Joe has named him Buddy. And Buddy is a purebred Saanen billy goat. Now, little Buddy is actually only 4 months old, so he still has a lot of growing to do. But it made sense to bring him home and leave him here because we're having issues with Luna, and I want to make sure that the girls are bred. So having this little stinker hanging around here while the girls are pregnant just makes sense. And then if anybody slips again, then at least we have Buddy. For the most part, the girls just beat him up because he's young and he's a billy, so he likes to bug them and sniff them and lick them. So yeah, that's our goat update. So I am super excited to have our own billy. It makes me feel like we are true homesteaders now that we have our own billy power to breed our girls, which it makes me feel a lot more relieved. That also means that since Big Mama is coming up on her 6th year this year, that she'll be able to produce some daughters for us that will be purebred for the future of our farm and future milk goats. So I'm really looking forward to being able to pair him up with Big Mama next year for some beautiful purebred Saanen milk goats. Now, the bottle baby little stinkers, Sally and Jessie, are ready to be weaned. So this week we are slowly cutting back the amount of milk that they are getting because obviously they are nice and healthy and plump and they eat hay very well. So these girls are going to be weaned off this week and they are still sweet and rotten. So we're really looking forward to having these little girls weaned because they have been a lot of extra work here on the farm these past 7 weeks. Now, for those of you wondering, it is safe to have our little girls here with the billy. Goats don't reach sexual maturity until 4 to 6 months, and Starr is due in 7 weeks. So when Starr kids, or right before she kids, our little billy will have to go hang out with the billies at the neighbor's house until we can get him a fence. So it's nice to have him here. We can get used to him. The kids can get used to him and have him hang out with us here because he will eventually live here. But for now, he is going to hang out with us. Then when kidding time comes for Starr, he will head to the neighbors. And by that point, these girls will start reaching maturity, and I don't want him catching my little girls. So timing-wise, it's all going to line up. Our other goat news, Big Mama has decided she's going to continue providing milk for us. So I don't know why she had a little dry spell there, but Big Mama is now giving us just over a quart of milk per day. She's only milking in the morning. We don't milk her at night, so we're still just getting that 1 quart, but it's still been lots, and we're gonna try and get that from her as much as we can. Next week will be a full 11 months in milk for Big Mama. I'm super happy with how well she has done this year. So, as I said last week, after palpating all the rabbits, I don't think Franklin is doing his job. Now, I'm pretty sure we have decided now to replace Franklin in March. So I'm going to be giving him some more apple cider vinegar in the water, making sure he's in good shape and not too overweight. I'm going to be doing the same thing for Amy, and I'm going to be attempting to breed Amy and Franklin one last time. This will probably be Amy's last kindling as well, because she's getting up there in age and she has not been very receptive. So if we do have a successful breeding between the two, we will be keeping doelings from that pair, and then we will be trying to find a new buckling to sire all of our satins. So we'll see what happens and what brings in the next couple weeks. It's not very springy today, so it makes it feel a little bit more dreary. So we'll see what happens with the satins, and we're really hopeful that we'll get a satin litter here soon. Miss Twilight would not breed again to the buck. She just fought with him and growled at him and stomped at him. So I'm hoping that she may be caught on the one time that she did let him have a fall off. Livy is extremely hard to catch. She is currently hiding from me, but I need to palpate her again and make sure that she is on track for her due date of February 24th. I haven't fully decided yet what I want to do with Shadow. I'm debating whether it will be worth it to just breed her. Sorry, the geese are in the way. Debating if it would be worth it to maybe just breed her to Peter, because Peter is a lot more ambitious and he might be able to actually breed her. That just means that we'd have a mixed litter of New Zealands and satins, but it might be enough to get her started for the year and then breed her back to a satin after this first litter of the year, and hopefully that would kind of reset her. I'm just deciding whether or not I think that's worth it, and I think it might be, because we eat our own rabbits and we sell some for pets. It might be worth it to just have that mixed litter now, just to kind of get her started. I did recheck Amber today, and she does feel like she has a hard swollen abdomen, so I'm going to go with yes, she will still be due on the 21st, and we'll see what happens. So for the geese, I put in 21 goose eggs. It was the first 21 goose eggs that we had, and only one survived. There's a few of them that have blood spots that makes me think that they were fertile and died. And a few are kind of sludgy. I haven't cracked the eggs open yet. That's on the list for today. But I think our fertility was quite low, and only 1 out of 21 is very disheartening. So Farmer Joe is very upset about it. I'm very upset about it. I set another 13 goose eggs on the weekend to recheck fertility and see, because sometimes just like those first 2 or 3 eggs, each girl is not. So we'll see what happens. I think that the problem is that Dog has been breeding them in the snow beside the water, and I think he's not actually successfully fertilizing anything, but thinks he is. And so I'm worried that that might be why. So I have been giving him water in a bigger tub, but they don't tend to use it. He's still just preferring to breed with them in the snow. So I'm not sure what our fertility is going to be like for these winter months, but hopefully as it warms up, the fertility increases in the goose flock. All right, turkey news. We started getting 4 turkey eggs a day. So 4 girls are laying out of 7, and I'm pretty sure it's all the new girls. So I am really excited. I'm really happy with how full our baskets have been. So the boys are still fighting like crazy. So I'm gonna need to separate or sell one soon, and I have a deal lined up for next week. So hopefully we can get rid of some of these toms, because we don't really need 3 boys in here. Yeah. And so far it's been okay. We have a little bit of bloodshed every now and then, but it's not really any different than with the roosters. But I did get a super cool clip that I want to show you guys this week of one of our toms breaking up a rooster fight. Now, our other news for this flock is we are having some baldness issues. It looks like I have black copper turkins. So these girls are going to need to be treated with ivermectin pour-on because I think they probably have mites or something, and they just do not look well. So they are totally fine, healthy, normal chickens other than their bald necks. So I am frustrated. I seem to always have issues in this coop because it's an old coop, and even though I've treated the bars and whatnot before in this coop, it still just seems to be a reoccurring problem. So my mother-in-law suggested I soak my bars or paint them with like motor oils or like used diesel or something. So I might do something like that because that kills everything and it's not super harmful for the birds. It's just on the bars. So I'm probably going to have to do something like that this summer and hopefully not have some issues, or just put new bars in, which might be better because those ones are kind of been falling apart and I've been fixing them a lot. So if I might just have to do some new bars in there because I think that's where the bugs are hiding and crawling up into their feathers. Now with the bugs, I'm not actually able to see bugs, and lice you can see. So I'm thinking it's probably some sort of mite, and that's why I can't see it. So we'll treat it like mites and get our girls nice and fully feathered again. It's not really affecting anything. We're still getting eggs and whatnot, but they just don't look great. And when we're wanting to breed with them, we want them to be in tip-top shape. Well, guys, I think that is everything I have to share with you. We had a lot of hardships this last week. It has definitely been really difficult, really trying, and really wearing me down, to be honest. But we are still looking forward to spring, looking forward to spring weather and getting rid of all the snow. But things are looking up. I'm really, really hopeful that we're going to have a batch of bunnies next week. And I'm really hopeful that these geese will figure it out and we'll get goslings again. It's just been a lot. So hopefully Luna's bred, hopefully some of the bunnies are bred, and hopefully the geese fertility improves so that we can have more babies this spring. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.